Hello and welcome to PodCoder. In this tutorial, we are going to implement the bottom navigation bar in our Flutter application. So you can see here we have blogs, we have favorites, and we have accounts, and we are able to navigate between these pages. You can see here it's the blog page, and here is the favorite, and also we have the account. So implementing this bottom navigation bar in Flutter is really an easy task. But when you want to persist the data in the pages that you navigated to, that is a tricky part. So let me show you what do I mean by that. Suppose here we have a list of blogs and we render it. So list of blogs, you can see start from 1 and it's increasing. And if suppose I am scrolling this much and till 75, and I am going to the favorites page, and when I come back, you can see still I am in that part. I mean, I am in the scroll position that I left it before. But by default, this functionality is not there and not implemented. So let me show you the account page that this functionality is not implemented. So here we have the account and it starts from 1 and it's just increasing. And right now I am at item 29, and if I go to these favorites and just I navigate back to the account, you can see it starts from 1. So this is really costly when you just rendered this data and you got it from the server and user scrolled this much, and right now if you go back and come, it's just rendering again. So it is really costly in the performance or when you render the UI. Okay, so in this tutorial we are going to implement this functionality, the bottom navigation bar, and also persisting the data. Okay, I am going to start this tutorial by building or by creating an app from scratch. To start, I am going to open my terminal, and first of all I want to cd to desktop or go to the desktop, and here I want to create a folder mkdir and I will call it test. And inside this test I'm going to the test directory, and here first of all let me clear it, and I am going to write Flutter create bottom navigation bar. So this is the name of our project. It will create a new application for me. It takes a little bit time, so I think it's done. So after it's done, I am going to cd to this bottom navigation bar, and I want to open it in my VS Code. So code this one, it will open it in the VS Code. Okay, so before everything we have an empty Flutter application. Let me run it. So it takes time a little bit. I think I'm going to pause the video. So here we have the counter app, which you will get by crafting a new Flutter application. So this is a simple counter app. So I'm going to the main.dart, and first of all I am going to remove all this the comments. So by pressing Command F or Control F on Windows and writing this double backslash and dot star, it will, and selecting this regex, it will select all the you can see the comments, and here you can click on this one and replace it with nothing, so it will replace it. Okay, so after saving it's gone. And what I want to do is I want to delete everything but this stateless widget, and here what I want is my home page, which is not existed yet. So I am going to the lib directory, and here I am going to create a directory or folder called pages, and inside this pages I'm going to create 3 pages. So one is our blogs, no, first of all it's home page.dart, and also we have here a stateful widget, and this stateful widget is our home page. What I'm going to do is I am going to bring the material by pressing Command dot on Mac or Control dot on Windows. So here we have a scaffold, and this scaffold does not have anything. So right now what I am going to do is first of all let me bring this one, and inside main, and if I save it, we have nothing, an empty page. So let me create other pages. So we have blocks, I'll call it page dot. We have the favorite page or favorites page dot, and we have the account page dot. Okay, so I am going to paste what I copied from the home page, and what I'm going to do is just by pressing Command D on Mac, I am going to select all, and then I will rename it to blogs page. And here we have our blogs. Let me use an app bar. So app bar, we have here a title of text blogs page. Okay, so this is our blog, and I am going to copy everything and I am going to paste it inside this account dot page. And I'm going to select everything and I'll write account page, and here I will write account. The same thing I will do with the favorites. Okay, favorites page, and here also favorites. Okay, so we have our 3 pages, and right now there's nothing because inside the main of our app we are not calling any one of this. So to start building a bottom navigation bar, first of all, if you use an scaffold, inside the scaffold you have a bottom navigation bar. You have basically this floating action bar, and also you have this bottom navigation bar. So if you use bottom navigation bar, here you can see that we have the bottom, it is a type of bottom navigation bar, and this bottom navigation bar by default it needs the items, and if you hover on these items you can see it's bottom navigation bar item. So basically it's a list, and if you see it's a list of bottom navigation item, and I am going to use bottom navigation bar item. And here for the icon we can use icon. So the first one I'm going to use icons.home, and here it will have a title, and for the title it's going to be a text, and I'll call it as home. If you save it like this, it will give you an error because this bottom navigation bar at least want the length to be 2, not 1. So if I just copy this one and paste it, and also I will change it to favorite and also favorite, it will just render, and right now we have 2 menu items here, but we want 3. So let me put a comma here too, and also comma here. Okay, and I am going to copy this one, and we have the person here, and this should be account. Okay, so we have our 3 menus right now. So see how easy it is to navigate the bottom navigation bar in Flutter. But our main job is remained, and that is to create our pages, and also by clicking on any of these items we want to navigate between these pages and also persist the data. So to do that, I'm going to use this scaffold again, and here we have a body property. For that I'm going to use a page view, and if you hover on this page view, it has many properties. First of all, it needs a page controller and also physics. It has on page changed and a list of widgets, which is children. So I'm going to start with the controller. So it needs a page controller, which does not exist yet, and we will create that. If you see, the page controller is a type of page controller, and also what we need is the children, which is a list of widgets, and we'll call it currently as a screen, but it does not exist. Also we want on page changed, and I'll call it as on page changed. This is also not exist, and if you see this on page change, is a function which give you an integer, and that is basically the index. And also we have the physics. So physics never scroll, what is that? Never scrollable physics. So we do not want this part or this page view to be scrollable. Okay, so we are going to create each of this one, page controller, screen, and unchanged. So I am going to start with the page controller. So it is a type of page controller, and we called it as page controller. So we just want to initialize that. We have our page controller, and also we need our screens. So screens is a list of widgets. So here basically we want our blogs page. Also we want our favorites page. Favorites, what I called it, let me go there. It is favor, oh sorry, it should be favorite, that's why it's not coming, it should be a. Okay, let me copy this one. I'm going to save it, and here I will write it as favorite. So if it's not coming, what you can do is bring it here. Okay, and we have account page. So we have our 3 pages, and these pages are widgets basically. So we have our screens, and this should be screens, not a screen. And right now we want our unchanged, and this unchanged is basically a void function. On page changed will give us the integer, and this is index. Okay, so also, so we are done with this one. Okay, so you can see by default it will select the first one, the first, by default if we save it like that, it will save this the first element or the first widget from the children. So we have our blocks page, but right now we are not able to navigate between these pages, because you can see that if we tap on these elements or these items, it doesn't do anything. For that, let me close this terminal. If I just hover on this bottom navigation bar, you can see we have something here, and not page item in the bottom navigation bar itself. So here we have untapped here, which is a function. So untapped, we want item tapped, so any one of these item tapped. So what we want is to create another function, void on item tapped, and it will give us an integer, which is the index, or current, not the selected, basically this is the selected index. And right now we have this one, so let me copy this one and put it here. And if I right now just print this index, you can see that selected index, and if I print it and I open my terminal, go to the console log, suppose see if I choose this favorite, it gives 1, and also for the account 2, for index it is 0. So basically we are right now, you know, when clicking or selecting any of this, it will give us here. Okay, so what we want is here to just on top of this, we want the page controller to jump to the page. Here we have another property called jump to page, and which page? Selected index. So here, so right now if I save it and if I click on any of, see, it's home here, it's blog, and here we have favorites, and here we have the accounts. This one is not home, let me put it as blogs. Okay, so we have the blogs here, we have the you know, the favorite, and also we have the account, but unfortunately it is not, you know, selecting the one which is selected right now, or highlighting the selected one. So to do that, what we need is an integer, or selected index, and it should be 0 by default. And what we want is, on this page changed, when the page is changed, we want to just make this selected index. Let me just bring it here because it should be here, and we want to call set state and change this selected index equal to the index which is selected. Okay, or we can put it as current index, but it's okay. And also here, what we want inside this bottom navigation bar for the icons, let me put a comma to refactor it. Here, for the color of this icon, what we can say, we check if, or what we can see is the selected index equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, we want the color colors dot blue, and if not, so it should be null, so nothing. And right now, if I just save it, and if I click on this one, oh, it's not working. Why? So it should be colors.gray. Colors.gray. I'll put it like this. Okay. So if I click on this one, you can see that the color changed to gray. But the same thing, what we want is for this text. So if I put a comma and save it, it will refactor. We have the style here, so it is text style, and we have the color here. The same thing we want to do for this one. So if we select the block, you can see it is selected and it shows, but if I navigate to this one, it's not indicating all of them. So what I will do, I'll just copy this one and I will put it here for this one, and also text style for my favorite, and I need to put a comma here, and this should be 1. If the selected index is equal to 1, should highlight this one. So right now, if see, you can see it already. Okay, so I need to copy this one again and put it here. This should be 2, and the same thing, I'm going to copy this text style and put it here. This also should be 2. Okay, so right now, if I just click here, you can see it's highlighting. So we are done with the highlighting, and right now the only thing that is remain to render our list, or at least to persist the data. Okay, so to do that, so we are done with the navigating part, and right now you can see that our page is just changing. And to implement the list, what I'm going to do is, inside our blogs, I'm going to use a list view for our body, and this list view builder should be a builder, and we want the item count to be at least item counts to be 500. And for the builder, what I'm going to do is I'm going to return a card, and inside this card we want the child should be a column, and this column has children's. So why, yeah, this should not be like this. It should be, because if you hover on this build item builder, it's a function returning, giving you the build context and also the index. So what we want is the context and also the index, current index, and then we return a widget because it's a list of widget. Okay, so we are done, and what we want is here to text. So this is the title of block, and which block I am going to use the index +1, because index start from 0, so it is not meaningful. So I'm going to do it like this. If I save it, you can see we have all the blocks. Okay, so it is listed here, but what I want is not this one, sorry. I will just copy this text, I put a comma here, save it, so it will refactor. So here I am going to use the lorem sum. Let me bring it here. I will copy to this part, and not this part is sufficient, I think. So let me go back and I am going to paste it here. So if I save it right now, we can see that we have everything, but the color is not that much clear. So for the scaffold, I'm going to use background color as colors dot gray, and it should be shade of 400 or 300 is okay. So right now it is visible, and what we want is we want to wrap our card with a padding, so at least we have some padding. So I will give as 16. I think it's okay. No, it's a lot, so it give it as 8. Still it is not okay. Return the padding, and yeah, so sorry. So I'm not going to give it here. It is okay, but I want to hover this column with a padding, not the card itself. So if I give it, yeah, right now it looks good. Okay, so if I give it a 16, it is better. And also I'm going to use text style and font size. This should be at least 18 or 16, so it's bold. Font family, and not font family, font width, and should be font width dot bold. So we are bolding basically. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a sized box here, size box, and the height is around 10. So if I save it, you can see it looks better, but what we want is to at least highlight it to look clear. So we can say here for the color of this card, if index mod 2 equal to 0, so what we want is the colors dot tail, otherwise null. So if I save it, you can see right now, and if the color is still, we want the color to be white, the color of the text. So the color of this text, the title, and the color, we can save it like this. Did not tell, it should be white. If it is still, the color should be white. Yeah, it looks good. But the problem is still here. If I navigate to the favorites and come back, you can see it start from 1. If I navigate it this much or scroll that much, and if I go, you can see it start from 1. No problem, we'll implement that. And right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy everything and I'm going to paste it inside the favorite page, and I am going to rename this page to favorites page. And the same thing, I'm just going to write here, and not this, should be favorites, and you can see it is title of favorites 1, favorite 2, and here not tell, I'm going to use purple for this one. It's okay, yeah. For this, let me put it as blue, and yes, we have the blue one for the favorites. And also I am going to copy everything and I'm going to paste it inside the account page. So basically I'm just copy pasting to just demonstrate the persisting part. Okay, account page, we have the account page here and also account. So for this one I'm going to use the purple color. If I go here, you can see we have the account, and if I navigate, oh, it is favorites. So I am going to change this one to favorites. Okay. So right now we are able to navigate between these pages, and also we are able to render our data. but the persisting part is remain. So to persist your data, what is happening here inside, if you go to inside the home page, basically this page view will change, we'll call this one on changed, and each time when we changed on I tapped here, we are using the page controller and jumping to this, the current page or the selected index page. So basically it's choosing from this list of screens, and it will initialize it. So it will initialize it from 0. So that's why it's re-rendered again. So to prevent that, we have something to use with our stateful widgets, and that is here inside. Suppose on blocks page state, after the extends part, we can use with automatic keep alive client mixin, and this will keep it alive or persist it. But if we just put it here, we have an error here. You can see it is basically it is not implementing something. And if I go here and just by pressing Control dot, we can see we are missing an override method. If I click it here, it will add this part, and this will say, and want to keep alive, we want true or return true. Yes, we want to keep it alive or persistent. And also inside the build, also we have this squiggly line, and if you just go to the end, it should call the super.build. I'm not sure with where it is written, but basically this is this part. It will it needs to call super.build. So basically this is missing, and if I add this one, you can see that right now it's gone. And hopefully if I right now here inside the block, as we implemented, if I scroll this much or to 100 or 101, and if I navigate to the favorites and come back, you can see it is persisted. So this is the trick, that you can use this mixin and with these methods to keep this the scroll position and the data that is fetched and rendered as it is. So we are going to use this for our favorites as well. So with automatic keep alive client mixin, we are going to override the method want to keep alive. Yes, we want, so it should return true. And also inside the build method, we need to call super.build, and we need to pass the context. So right now, if I just scroll this much and navigate to the favorite parts and come back, you can see our blocks page is still in that position. Also the same thing with the favorite, because we implemented that. If I suppose scroll this much to 157, and suppose I go to the block and come back, you can see it is at that position. But for the account page, as it is not implemented, you can see if I navigate to the favorites part and just go back, you can see it starts from the 1. So this is all about the bottom navigation bar in the Flutter application. I hope this video helped you, and if it helped you, kindly subscribe and hit the bell button so you'll be notified about the upcoming videos.